Today we're going to create a simple camera follow. I know there are plenty of camera follows tutorials online, but when I had a look on a few of them, they were quite complicated, which might be suitable for somebody who is experienced with Unity, but for the beginners it might be a bit daunting and a bit too difficult. So I decided to create a very simple camera follow so you can use it straight away. It will look something like that. So we are going left and the right. We are using a lerp here. What is a lerp you will find out very soon. And if we jump, it goes up and down as well. It depends what kind of game are you creating. You might not want to use your camera to go up and down as well. So in case you don't want it, we can just change one parameter and go back into the Unity and press play. So now, whenever we jump, our camera is not going up and down, it just stays fixed on the vertical axis and it's only moved on the x-axis, which is left and right. So let's get into it. I just save it and remember that all the files and the scripts are available for you in the link below. So now let me just remove all of the stuff I had from the previous lessons. I've just drag and drop it and it's in the middle. So now I will just duplicate it, Ctrl D, and I will move it to the right. And because I want to have a nice pass between both of them, I will just flip it on the x-axis. I will just grab the rect tool and press V. So now I can just move it and it will snap to the vertex of the other background. So now we are sure that they both snap together and they're looking pretty good. So now if it's about our player, it's got a rigid body 2D on it with dynamic because we are going to jump. So I left the dynamic. We've got a gravity scale set to 5, circle collider, player script and sprite renderer. Set order in layer on 2 so that it's in front of the background as the background is set to 0 as a default. So we are prepared. We've got our main camera with the camera follow script attached to it, but I will just remove it so we can start from the beginning, and I will just delete everything that we've got in our script. So let's start from the beginning. You're not going to need any start method, so you can get rid of it. In order to follow the player or any other object, we need to get this transform component so we know the position of that object. So let's do it first. So we just put serialize fields. So we have a field that we can drag and drop this object to. And we get a transform component and I'll call it player transform. So now we are going to need the player position vector 3 and the camera position vector 3. So let's create two vectors, vector 3, and the first one will be called player position and the other one we will call the camera position. We don't have to assign any value to it just yet. We'll do it in the update method. So let's create it just beneath. You probably got it already done. I deleted everything, so I had to make it from the beginning. In the update method, we have to check what's the player position all the time. So just type player position vector 3 and assign this player transform to it. So player transform and position. In this vector, the position of the player will be held and updated every frame. We want to make the camera to be in the same position as the player position. So let's do it. We are just using camera position vector. We might assign a player position to it straight away, but it's not a good idea. And you might ask why. The first thing why it's not a good idea is that the camera Z position should stay on -10 and our player Z position is on 0. So we can't really pass this parameter onto the camera because it would spoil the game. And the other thing is that sometimes you might want to move the camera up and down and sometimes you might not. So in that case, we don't really want to pass this Y parameter as well. We want to leave the camera as it is on the 0 position, for example, on the Y axis. So in that case, we will just create a new vector 3, and inside we will use some values from player position. So we want to move the camera on the X position. So let's use this player position vector 3, but only the X values. And let's say that for now we don't want to use Y and Z at all. So just leave it on 0F, because our camera should stay on 0 on the Y axis. And it should stay on -10, because it was originally on -10, and we want to keep it this way. So now we should move the camera. At the moment we just set the vectors that this camera should be at. And because our player is moving in the fixed update, as you can see it here, we want to move our camera in the fixed as well. Let's create a new method and just call it follow. And inside we want to change the camera transform position. So transform and position, and it will be equal to camera position that we just defined in this line in here. So in order to call this method, we should use fixed update, type fixed update, and inside we are just calling the follow method. Just save it and let's go back to Unity. Click on the main camera and assign camera follow to it. And once it's assigned, you need to fill this player transform field with our player. So just drag and drop it and press play. So now if we move, you can see that our camera can move left and right. We are not moving up and down because we set this vector to be 0. But if you want to move it on the Y axis, let's just use player position Y value. So I will just show you how to do it. Player position Y. And of course there will be something wrong happening on our screen. You will see why. And now as you can see, our camera was moved. Just click on the camera and see its position is -3.8. It matches the player position, which is -3.8 as well. And we do not want this, of course. We need our camera to move up, and it has to move up about 4 units. So we have to add it in our vector. So we are taking player position and we have to increase this value by 4 so that our camera stays higher. So you can see all the background. So let's go back in Unity and press play and see if it helped. And as you can see, it helped and our camera is looking fine now. If we jump, it jumps with us. So this is good. But I do not want this option, because in this game we don't really have to move camera up, we just go right and left. So I will just go back to the previous settings and just delete this offset, and I will delete player position Y as well and just leave 0F, so the camera is on its default Y position. But if you go back to your game and press play, you might decide that you want to have some more space on the right side, because we will be, just moving to the right and we want to see maybe some enemies or some obstacles on the right side. So we need to have some more space. In case to achieve it, we need to move this camera to the right. So our dot is more on the left. So we have to do the same thing as we just did with the Y position in here. We have to increase it. So let's increase it by, let's say, 3 at the moment. Save it and go back to Unity, and if you press play, you can see that we've got some more space now and it's looking very nice. Of course, if you want to know what the player script is like, I will just open it and scroll it so you can just see what we used in here. We are using update to check input, and we are using fixed update to move it with velocity and to jump with add force. But of course all the files can be downloaded and the script can be viewed on the link provided below as well. So let's go back once more, because I want to show you one more thing. We can use some method that will allow this camera to go smoothly. It will just have some delay and then try to catch up with our player. so sometimes it looks a bit better. Not always, but you might like this effect. So let's do it. Let's go into the code to the camera follow and maybe just create another method, and then you will decide which one you like and which one you would like to use. Let's call it follow with lerp, and now inside we are starting exactly the same as the follow. So we want to use transform position and assign some value to it, and we are using vector 3 and then lerp. And now inside, as you can see, we are specifying the position from which to where this object should go. And it should go from transform position. So it's the position where is it at the moment. And now it should go to some position. And this position is camera position. So just type camera position. And here we're specifying some time. So just put 0.1f. This is something you can play with to check what fits you best. And now let's call this method instead of the follow. So I just copy it and paste in the fixed update. If I save it and go back to Unity, just press play. And now you can see that our camera has some delay, but after that it just follows it and center on our object. So this is something you may like or not, it's up to you, but it's definitely worth trying. So this is it really for today. I hope that this script is not that complicated. I tried to make it as simple as possible without creating any additional variables so that it would be easy to understand. The only thing to change would be probably those stuff here if you want to have your camera more to the right or to the left. And here you have to assign some player position Y if you want this camera to go up and down along with the player as well. And that would be it. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe. See you later. Bye.